Hello, everyone.
Thank you for joining our 6 p.m. Vote-a-thon SOC Youth Takeover.
We have a brief message from our Executive Director, Ms. Tammy Rivera, but first, we'd like to shout out the following names. Tina, our board member.
Jeanette Torres,
Jose Cervantes.
Clarissa Morales,
Mauricio Galicia.
Carmen Ortiz,
Rocky from Your Move.
Devin Anderson,
Alberto Maldonado. Thank you for joining our live stream earlier, and now please welcome Miss Tammy.
Happy Spring Election Day. Give me a second while I welcome our Spanish-speaking neighbors. Bienvenidos al Día de Votación de la Primavera. Si ustedes quieren acceso al programa de hoy en español, por favor marquen el número que aparece en la pantalla, que es 646-749-3122 para acceso en español. Cuando le contestan su llamada, compartan el código que también aparece en la pantalla, que es 779-328-221. Folks, we're welcoming our Spanish-speaking neighbors with our conference line that translates all that we're sharing today and gives guests an opportunity to ask questions and have those come in translated too. My name is Tammy Rivera. I'm the executive director and the lead organizer here at SOC. I have the privilege of being the head cheerleader and supporter here of our vision and mission. It takes a whole lot of people to produce these vote-a-thons, and I want to make sure they get a shout out and that you get to know our staff team. And so the first person I'd love to thank and introduce is Stacy Carlos, who is our producer of the day. She is also an organizer here at SOC. She leads our public resources and safety, and she's covering some other vacancies right now. Gracias, Stacy, for producing today. And then we have two new staff who I'd like to introduce and who are having their first vote-a-thon experience. So, hey, rah-rah for Emily Gonzalez, who's our youth program coordinator. And she is learning production, but already she's been, running circles around us old schoolers here with her technology gifting. And then we have Julia Watt, who is our Justice Fellow, and she's here for a season, and she's shadowing how to do the vote-a-thon. So welcome to two new team members, and congratulate them on their first VAT experience. And then we have Jorge Perez, our program director, who has led this vote-a-thon. We're grateful for his leadership. Tony Chavez, our operations director, who is floating support today in case anything pops up. As always, Wilma Ortiz, our operation and project assistant, is working right now for you all at poll locations, being a poll worker. And then the people who inspire us, who give us hope, who we are just happy to have on the team and empowered by their growth, is our youth. And so today we want to also welcome back Alexis Scroggins and Isabel or Bell Smith, our youth organizers. You've probably seen them doing the promotions for the VAT. They've done an incredible job. So we're so grateful that we have this team, that everybody is doing their part and we can bring this to you. Now, we have a day full of all kinds of leaders and authorities who have trusted roles and information for us today. And so we've invited folks to come and share technical information about how to vote, all kinds of information, and to talk about some current key issues. And so with that, I need to say a disclaimer for SOC, which is the views and opinions shared today don't necessarily reflect those of SOC. They may or may not. but we're a nonprofit 501c3 organization. And so we're providing this platform, and sometimes guests share their thoughts and opinions. And so we want to make sure we're bringing information to you and then standing as SAC, a separate organization. Here's what I want to say. Bravo to all of you who voted early or are voting today. It is so important, especially in the times we're living, to exercise our place in democracy. And so I want to share the place of which I get strength to do the work that I'm doing, and why especially why I vote, is when I reflect on, it was in recent history, y'all, when people fought and even died for our rights to vote. As a matter of fact, in my grandmother's life, women and people of color didn't have that right. And so when I'm discouraged, when I'm feeling hopeless, when I feel the system's not working, etc., I'm reminded that I have a duty because of that. And so I hope if you're at all discouraged or dismayed, that may encourage you. And so be with us all today as we share with you information on voting and hopefully inspiration too. I'm going to turn it over now to our very inspiring youth, Belle and Alexis. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. We are the SAC Youth. Heads up that we ask you to fill out the Vote-a-thon survey at the end of the program. This helps us make the changes and possibly improve the information provided.
We can see how many of you are with us, but not your names unless you drop a hello in the comments section. If you voted early, let us know. If you voted today, let us know and share what voter number you were, if you remember.
SAC platforms available for you to connect with us are at office, in person, in community, Facebook, IG, LinkedIn, website at sacmilwaukee.org, or YouTube.
If you're a first-time voter like me, let us know and tag us in your story or drop it in the comments.
Today, we'll be mentioning some resources to assist you with voting information.
Also, remember, we are here live and you can call 414-672-8090.
Hey, are you watching by yourself right now? Well, if so, have someone join you. If you have youth eager to make a change in your community like us, have them join our live stream. Before we continue, we would like to give a hello and thank you for joining us today to Sarah, my mother, Lillian, Mimi, Drea, and my Thea, Gladys.
Now we have our ED, Tammy Rivera, interviewing Congresswoman Gwen Moore discussing ICE and federal law enforcement in Milwaukee.
Bienvenida. Welcome, Congresswoman Moore. We're so delighted to have you with us and to get an update from you on our local activity of ICE and federal law enforcement. People are needing a trusted leader to guide us through what's happening, and we'd love to hear what you have to share on that today.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I did not vote for the Republicans' version of a bill that would have funded Homeland Security, this huge agency that has, the Coast Guard, the CIA, TSA workers, FEMA, all inside of, and ICE inside of Homeland Security. The Senate had come to a bipartisan agreement to fund every part of the Homeland Security bill except for ICE until senators and the House of Representatives were able to work out differences, essentially just to have ICE operate as a legal policing agency rather than these masked men, maybe even women who burst into your home without a judicial warrant. We saw from the two deaths of Renee Good and the gentleman who died in Minnesota, how reckless the behavior, Mr. Petty, how reckless their behavior has been. So here in Milwaukee, we have not seen that kind of aggression with ICE, but most recently, we have seen ICE arrest, kidnap a trusted member of the Muslim community, the president of the Islamic Society, Mr. Salah Sansour. And we think that's just a sign of their wanting to intimidate the community. We are working with Senator Baldwin and in contact with Mr. Sansour's attorneys. But we are on it with regard to challenging this illegal seizure of a legal resident. This elucidates the importance of not banning people with people's speech. There's recently a bill that passed the state legislature that I was opposed to, which really made any sort of utterances that challenge what is happening in the Middle East to be designated as anti-Semitic. And I don't know the details of this ICE detention, but I do know that if it smells like a rat, it probably is a rat. This is to not be tolerated. My office has put out a statement decrying this deportation, and we'll continue to work with our community to try to get his release.
Thank you for that update. And so this is the only recent activity we're aware of. Is that correct, Congresswoman Moore?
I can tell you that there has not been a massive immigration sort of sweep like we saw in Minnesota. I was able to bring together local leaders so that we weren't just hoping and wishing and praying that we'd be able to respond adequately if ICE were to present itself. And so we had police chief, sheriff, the DA, the mayor, the president of the Common Council. We had community leaders like Cristina Newman Ortiz from Voces de la Frontera, Emilia Torres, ACLU, trusted members of the community seriously coming through to have a conversation about preserving the rights of citizens to protest and preserving the rights of people to not be just kidnapped. Now, you know, United States citizens have constitutional rights. And I think what people don't realize is that whether you're a U.S. citizen or not, you have rights against illegal detention. We want these officers that I have withheld my vote for funding ICE because I do not want to provide any more funding than they have while they won't reveal who they are, wearing masks, bursting into people's homes without the appropriate warrant, the judicial warrant, not using probable cause to arrest people, but just based on their color or maybe their political beliefs or their racial or ethnic or religious affiliation. These are things that all Americans should be outraged about, because that is the very foundation of our democracy and our Constitution, you know. And you know what? Like Benjamin Franklin has said it, you know, almost 250 years ago, we established this. And when somebody asked him, what have we got? To paraphrase him, he said, you know, this is a democracy if we can keep it. We're on the if we can keep it part. Yeah. So it's time for us to stand up.
And this is why it's very important for folks to vote today. Congressman Moore, tell us who your voting buddy is.
My voting buddy usually is my eldest son, Ade. We share a residence, a duplex, and our voting site is right at the corner at the library. So I usually vote with him.
Nice. And Congresswoman Moore, what recipe would you like to contribute to our Recipe for Democracy cookbook this year?
I think I'd like to contribute a recipe. Well, I love stuffing, and it's, it's a treat. It's not something you eat all the time.
Yes.
It's high in calories and it has butter and stuff in it. But a lot of people in my family didn't eat meat byproducts. And so, you get used to putting some of the juice, and it's delicious, from the turkey in it and so on. And so I modified it to accommodate people who didn't eat meat, people that I loved a lot.
Well, that's wonderful. We look forward to getting that from you. And those people who tune into the Vote-a-thon, this will be able to get a copy of the book, and so will all of our guests. Thank you, Congressman Moore, for your time and your leadership and for the update. Muchas gracias.
De nada.
I see we have another friend in the comments, Belle's dad. Say hi, Belle.
Hi, Dad. Wow, that was really informational. Thank you, Congresswoman Gwen Moore, for sharing with us. Next up, please welcome back Miss Tammy, interviewing the Honorable Judge Pedro Colon, the first Latino elected to the Wisconsin legislature, where he served 6 terms, and he is now the first Latino judge on the Wisconsin Court of Appeals.
We are honored today to have a very special guest, a person who's partnered with us many times in many different areas of the work that we do here. I'd like to introduce to you the Honorable Judge Pedro Colon. He is judge for our Court of Appeals, District 1. He's also Wisconsin's first elected Latino official. And he's a lifelong, or almost a lifelong, long-time Southsider. Pedro, thank you for being with us today for this election.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Tammy, for having me again.
Yeah, we want to have a little time here for you to introduce yourself with a brief summary and your court, and then tell people we have a longer interview that we recorded with Judge Colon that we'll make available as well for people to get to know him and his work in a little more depth. So we'll first do a brief summary, and then we're going to ask the question of the moment.
All right. Well, so I'm Judge Pedro Colon. I'm in the Court of Appeals in this, what we call District 1, which is essentially Milwaukee County. There's 4 judges that are Court of Appeals judges. There's 16 of us that are around the state. And what we do is we essentially are an error correcting court. When you believe that the circuit court, that is the court by, everybody goes to, the one that on 9th Street, if that judge decides against you or something that you think the judge did not do correctly, you come to the Court of Appeals and you file an appeal. That appeal essentially says to us, well, now you need to review this. The way that happens is through the briefing, usually with lawyers, sometimes pro se, that is people that are proceeding on their own. And we look at the record, we look at the findings, we look at the decisions that the judge made, and we determine whether it complies with the law. At that time, we issue a decision, and we issue a decision directly to the party that files it. Now, there's another step. If you don't like what you read as a decision of the Court of Appeals, then you can appeal to the Supreme Court. But I am at the Court of Appeal.
Thank you for your service, Pedro, and your partnership in so many other areas as well. And so the question of the day we want your help with is, why should Southsiders and other voters care about the Wisconsin Supreme Court election on this day?
So the way I sometimes explain the Supreme Court to little kids is, the Supreme Court is like the Supreme Pizza. It has all the toppings. It is the biggest pizza. That is, they decide, the Supreme Court decides all of the tough decisions that we all have to abide by, including lower judges in the Court of Appeals, including citizens, including police people, including anything that actually functions in the state has to be analyzed in a way in which it comes to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court decides it, then it becomes law. So it is law. It's legal requirements that we all must meet, depending on the circumstances, on what we do for a living or what kind of disputes we have. So the Supreme Court not only does that, but they also analyze and interpret our Constitution and sometimes the United States Constitution. And that is really, really, really important. It's really important because we have a constitution in the state. So for example, our Constitution has a section that says that all schools must be reasonably funded. And that every child in the state has a right to that education that's reasonably funded. So that has been interpreted by the Supreme Court because it's not only, we are a different branch in the legislature, we have to determine what the constitutional constraints are around education. Similarly, in voting, the way you vote is constitutional by it becomes constitutional by way of the Supreme Court interpreting how it is that we engage in our voting in our elections so that we can have fair democratic elections where everybody gets to vote, everybody gets to vote fairly. We have people that are not, sort of stuffing ballots or doing bad things, but also preserving that very, very special right in a democracy that says that unless we have, the only reason we are called a democracy is because the people give me or anybody else the elective power through the elections, the power to act on behalf of all of the state. So it's the consent, right? The vote is your consent to say, although I am one vote amongst many, this is my little section where I have control of who gets to be elected to interpret that Constitution. And so we have also issues regarding a woman's right to choose that has been on the forefront. We have voting rights. We have policing rights. How is it that we police each other? How is it that we profit from each other? How is it that we pay taxes to the state based on certain principles that guide us and the Constitution? How is it that we respect our water systems, our lakes, our rivers, our wells, everything that how manufacturing interreacts with our natural resources of water, the environment as a whole. And so all these things are decided by the Supreme Court, which is why they carry the name Supreme. They are the Supremes of this state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, very important election for people to pay attention to. Now, before we close out this interview, we want to address two campaigns we have going on to support people voting. One is our Voting Buddy campaign, and one is our Recipe for Democracy campaign. So tell us, Pedro, who's going to be your voting buddy today for the election?
Well, my voting buddy is usually the people in my house, my wife, my kids. But my voting buddy sometimes becomes like 10 people that I see down the street. And I say, hey, it's time to vote. Let's go vote together. So my voting buddy changes because I want to get as many people to participate in elections. And so I think you should go in families. You should go in blocks. You should go and participate. Anybody who can vote. It is a tremendously important part of our democracy. So usually I go with my wife of, I guess, 31 years now. So we kind of have, so it's become this sort of thing we do. But I remember my first vote when I was in college. I was in this very dirty dorm room with many of my friends. and I was so excited to vote because I had just turned 18, and I got my whole floor to come with me. So imagine all these young men. I just got them all to go vote. I didn't care who they voted for. I wasn't campaigning for anyone, but we all walked down to the Milwaukee Library, Central Library, and we all voted. And that was very exciting. My point is, make it a party and go and vote.
Awesome. And then for our final campaign, which is Recipe for Democracy, we are creating cookbook for those people who are joining us here at the Vote-a-thon. So if you're with us, make sure you register. The link is going to be shared here in the comments so that you can get the recipe book from all the guests that shared in the Vote-a-thon today. Pedro, what recipe are you going to be contributing to the Recipe for Democracy?
So I don't have my own recipe, and I'll be the first one. I have to be absolutely honest, but I am known for using several recipes to come up with what is called a piñón. And the main ingredient are these like over-ripened plantains because they're sweet. And it basically is a Puerto Rican lasagna with plantains.
We look forward to adding your recipe to our Recipe for Democracy cookbook for this election. And we thank you for being with us. And again, for those who want a copy of the cookbook, go ahead and click on the link to make sure you get on the list to get your copy.
This is a terrific idea. I didn't know about the cookbook. I need a cookbook. I'm gonna click on the link.
Thank you, Pedro. Have a great day.
You too. Bye. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being with us.
Hello, Sam in the comments who mentioned being voter number 24 at the polls. Thank you for sharing. Oh, and welcome back, Carmen. We truly appreciate the Honorable Judge Pedro Colon for being on today's Vote-a-thon and ongoing support in History with SOC. Up next, we got to hear from Christine Newman-Ortiz from Voces de la Frontera.
Christine, welcome to the Vote-a-thon for this spring election 2026. We're so grateful that you're with us.
Oh, mutually.
Christine, it's an important time that we're living in, and the work that Voces does is so crucial to our community fabric. Will you please share with folks a tiny bit again of what Voces mission is, and then we're going to talk about have you share with us what the Community Defense Network does, and then you can give us an update on any other projects that you're wanting to lift up today.
Thank you. Yeah, so Voces is a statewide member-led organization. We're largely led by Latino immigrant workers and their families, so many mixed immigration status families. We really focus on making sure people know what their voting rights are, what their immigration rights are, and on organizing the community to be able to use our political power, use our collective economic power, and organize in the community to advance just laws. The Community Defense Network is really a structure that was created under the first Trump administration and was quickly stood up nationally, and based on experience of what we're facing has been really scaled up. So here in Milwaukee, we formed the ICE Out of Milwaukee Coalition, for example, but we are coordinating with many organizations statewide as well to really build out those components, which include know your rights, so people know that if ICE comes, you don't have to open the door, what a judicial warrant looks like, and so forth. And then the second piece is the ICE hotline, which is also run by trained volunteers. It's the statewide ICE hotline for sightings. And then the other component is the verifier component. We're other trained people who are able to document and verify if it actually is true, if ICE is there. Another kind of circle of community defense has been the nonviolent direct action trainings that we have all these like ongoing trainings that are taking place. including like for workplaces and schools. So it's been a really beautiful thing to see just the scale. I think with Know Your Rights trainings alone, we are close to 40,000 people statewide that have been trained.
Wow.
So, and you know, since November, following the last election. So, yeah, I think you know, we know that what we're facing is unprecedented, and this has been a very important way to protect our family. The other piece, of course, that is about how we can also go on the offensive, and that would include, for example, May Day, as what we know as a day without Latinos and immigrants. Here in Milwaukee, May Day is a statewide tradition on May 1st as a marker for the immigrant and worker rights movement, but particularly for the immigrant-led movement. So that's a key component. And then the Latino Get Out the Vote program, which we've been doing since 2004.
Wonderful. Thank you for the work that you do. You also mentioned, Congresswoman Moore earlier talked about federal immigration and ICE policy, and then she talked about the recent case with our Palestinian community leader. And then you mentioned earlier when we were discussing, there's another case you wanted to make sure people understood so they could go to your website. You just mentioned that just a little bit.
Yeah, it's really important that when families come forward who are facing the arrest and detention of a loved one, that and ask for community support, that we rally behind them, because not everyone is willing to do that. So Elvira Benitez is a grandma and mom. She has been in this country for over 30 years and was rearrested arbitrarily by ICE, even though a federal judge found that she has a path to a lawful permanent residency. So they're just trying to, you know, she's not even in Wisconsin anymore. You know, quickly they tried to basically deport her till a habeas corpus was filed. So the family is fighting, and the two ways people can help is by signing a petition that goes to our federal elected officials, as well as just helping the family. So all of that is on our website, and really encourage people to help with this Wisconsin family, because they're not just doing it for themselves, they're doing it for everybody else.
Christine, share with us who your voting buddy is so we can encourage our other community neighbors to get out the vote.
Actually, I'm going to be voting early, and my voting buddies are my mom, Freya, so she's 86 years old. She's Parkinson's. She's in a wheelchair, and she's going to, we're going to fill out her ballot, and she's going to personally go drop it off. And with her, I'll vote as well early, and my sister. So we vote as a family. And
bravo, Freya, and to you all. What a beautiful legacy. And then, Christine, we are doing a recipe for democracy to get people some joy and community and cultural connections. What recipe would you like to contribute to the Recipe for Democracy book?
I would like to contribute a seafood paella, which is a dish from Spain. When I was younger, my family and I actually did live in Spain. So that's why we kind of adopted some of the traditions from there. And so one of them is the seafood paella. So it's a dish with, clams and fish. And so it's a very simple, it's actually a very simple dish. And it tastes really wonderful. So it's a good meal to make for others.
Well, we're looking forward to getting that recipe and sharing it with folks. And folks, if you want a copy of the Recipe for Democracy cookbook, we have a link in the comments where you can register to get that. Thank you, Christine. We appreciate your leadership.
Thank you so much, Tammy. Sí se puede.
Sí se puede.
Thank you, Christine. Please welcome our program director, Jorge Perez, interviewing Paulina Gutierrez, the executive director of the Milwaukee Election Commission, with words on the protecting free and secure elections.
Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to have Paulina Gutierrez, executive director of Milwaukee Election Commission, join us today. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
To begin, can you tell us what the City of Milwaukee Election Commission does and what your role is as an executive director?
Definitely. Thank you for the question. So the City of Milwaukee Election Commission is the department that is solely focused on running elections for the entire city of Milwaukee. So we handle all elections, polling locations, and central count. We handle campaign committees. So anybody that wants to run for office, we help them navigate that process and get them on the ballot. We also do all of the certification and canvassing of an election here in the city of Milwaukee.
Thank you for sharing. Paulina, can you help us understand how the Milwaukee Election Commission, poll workers, poll observers work together to ensure our elections remain free, fair, and secure?
Of course. So one of the most important things people should know is that democracy is managed by your community. So it's your friends and neighbors, it's your local leaders who take the stand and say, we're going to protect democracy. So there's thousands of people that get up early in the morning on election day and swear an oath to protect the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Wisconsin and to protect democracy by administering elections. So our staff at the Milwaukee Election Commission, we spend all year planning for elections. As you can imagine, we have 178 polling locations, about 3,000 poll workers, hundreds of workers at central count, hundreds of thousands of ballots that we have to process, and we are only allowed to process them on election day. And so it's a big task that we have to do. The additional portion that's also very important are observers. So you as citizens and residents can go to any polling location on election day, can come to central count, you show your photo ID and sign in, and you can stand and watch the process. And so observers also play an important role in ensuring that the process is transparent, secure, and fair. And what happens on election day is as those that are familiar with it, you walk in, you show your ID. We have someone that's responsible for making sure you say who you are. You get issued a voter number, a ballot. It gets processed through the machine. You are signing the poll book, and all that information comes back to us on election night. And immediately on election night and through the rest of the week, we are checking every single ballot and make sure it matches to every single voter. And so there are many different levers of security and auditing to ensure that our elections are safe, secure, and transparent.
Thank you so much for that. Before we close out this interview, we have two campaigns going on to help support people voting and get folks excited about this election. One is a Voting Buddy campaign, and the other is Recipes for Democracy. Tell me, Paulina, who is your voting buddy this election?
Well, as an executive director of the Milwaukee Election Commission, I have lots of voting buddies. So every chance I get, I'm ensuring, are you voting? But particularly, my family, my husband and my children, we always hold each other accountable. As an election official and worker, unfortunately, we can't vote on election day. So we vote by absentee. And my favorite thing to do is vote by mail. And for those that vote early, you will actually get our inaugural I Voted Early sticker contest winner. It is the cutest sticker. And if you vote early for the next 4 elections, you can collect all 4.
Awesome. Thank you. I love that. Family traditions. Going on that, for our final campaign, which is Recipes for Democracy, we're creating a cookbook for those people that are joining us today here at our Vote-a-thon. Paulina, what family recipes would you like to contribute to that cookbook? And is there any special story or tradition behind it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I am Latina through and through. I grew up here in the city of Milwaukee. My mother immigrated here from Mexico. But what people sometimes don't recognize is my father also immigrated from Indonesia. So I'm half Asian. And while I can cook up a delicious Mexican meal, I think one that's special and unique is on my Indonesian side. So, I have very distinct memories of making egg rolls. It's a whole community event, hundreds of people, like how we make tamales, they make egg rolls. And so I feel really excited that I have that role. But egg rolls is probably my most delicious thing. And like tamales, they don't taste good unless they're made at home. Those are the best
Absolutely.
kind. So
Absolutely.
I would contribute that.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you for sharing your insights with us today and for your ongoing support and collaboration in our community. We truly appreciate your time and leadership. Have a wonderful day. Gracias.
You too. Thanks so much. Go vote.
Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, Paulina. That recipe sounds very delicious. If you are interested in checking Milwaukee's most recent election results, check in the link in the comments. Hey, Alexis, have you heard of the Legal Women Voters? Oh, yeah, there's an organization focusing on protecting voter education that runs Vote 411. Well, let's hear a little more from them.
Hello, everyone. We're excited to have Maria Avila from the League of Women Voters and Comité por el Voto Latino joining us today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
To begin, could you briefly introduce yourself, your role, share a little bit about your organization, and resources available for our community?
Okay, well, I'm a member of El Comité por el Voto Latino, one of the committees that belongs to La Liga de Mujeres Votantes, or the League of Women Voters. Our mission is to give information, voter information, to all people that vote in the city of Milwaukee, but most exclusively on the south side of Milwaukee. Really, our main purpose for existing is wanting to increase the number of voters on the south side of Milwaukee by helping those who can and who are able to and who are U.S. citizens to register to vote.
Gracias, Maria, for sharing. There are many great resources available on the League of Women Voters website. One in particular is Vote 411. Can you share the purpose and goal for Vote 411?
Sure. The purpose really is to help voters to plan their vote. So a part of planning your vote is perhaps going with friends or with family to the voting location. But the most important part of planning your vote is identifying the candidates that you will be voting for ahead of time so that you're not hesitating at all when you're looking at a list of candidates for a position and you don't know who they are. So I'm going to bring up our vote411.org page, our website. Now, I'll show you, this website has been designed specifically for that last purpose, to help you to understand what the candidates are running for and what they stand for. Now, simply, very simply, what the League does is, for example, for a Supreme Court justice, the League sends the same questions to each candidate to answer. We ask them to respond in English and in Spanish because whatever they give us, we do not touch it and post whatever they give us on this website. So speaking of Spanish, right on the front page here at the top, you can switch from English to Spanish and you get everything in Spanish. But I'm going to show you in English today, so we'll revert back to English. Okay, so here we are at Vote 411, and you want to find out something about your candidates, so you can scroll down. We're going to put in SOC's address. Okay, planning your vote. Know your ballot. Let's scroll down. Here you can change from English to Spanish, but we're going to stay in English. Okay, down here toward the bottom is a save and view the races. So the races in the district that SOC is located in are here. They're listed here, all of them. So you go to a race, and let's go to the Supreme Court. Let's view that race. And first we start by talking about what the Supreme Court does. And then we scroll down to meet the candidates and see that there are 2 candidates. We have to check them if we want to compare their answers and look at their answers. And then scroll down, and you get the information first from each candidate and their campaign. So if this were a perfect system, we would get responses from every candidate. Okay, once you have reviewed your races, you hopefully have all the information that you need and you know who you're going to vote for. and that is vote411.org.
Well, thank you so much for the informative tutorial. Really appreciate that. Before we close out this interview, we have two campaigns going on to support people voting. One is Voting Buddies, and the other is Recipes for Democracy. Tell us, Maria, who is your voting buddy this election?
My voting buddy this election is my brother, Jose. We decided that we would vote early. Not only that, but we would vote on the first day of early voting. It was a great feeling that we had put a plan together and accomplished it and then discussed it at the end of the day. Now, if it rains or snows on election day, we're not concerned. If issues come up on election day, we're not concerned. All the people that go to vote on election day, there were only 4 other people when I went. So that's not a concern anymore. And I'm done.
Very cool family tradition. Love to hear that. For our final campaign, which is Recipes for Democracy, we are creating a cookbook for those people that are joining us here at our Vote-a-thon. Well, what family recipe would you be contributing to this cookbook?
I would like to contribute my recipe. Well, first I have to say I really am not much of a cook, but my favorite thing to make is avocado toast. And very simply, my recipe is to toast a slice of preferably Italian bread and mash up half of an avocado, spread it like you would butter on the toasted Italian bread, and on top of the avocado, put in Parmesan cheese shavings, and on top of the cheese, sliced Roma tomatoes are the best, I found. And then on top of all of that, sprinkle everything bagel seasoning that you can find on the spice racks at your local food market. It's the best, and it's a great breakfast treat to go with my coffee in the morning, and great energy giver to put your plan to vote together and then go do it.
Well, that sounds great, and I can't wait to make it. Hopefully this weekend for breakfast, our family will have it. Thank you for sharing and for your ongoing support and collaboration. Have a great day.
Thank you. Don't forget to vote.
It looks like Jules voted absentee. Thank you for sharing. Let's take a little break from our guest speakers and run a throwback video of us youth asking residents why is it important to vote.
Who am I here with today? Val.
And why do you think it's important to vote?
Because your vote ensures that your voice is heard.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm Cesar Gomez. I'm with the Southside Organizing Center. And what's your name, sir?
My name is Guy Smith.
All right, Guy Smith. Here we have one question for you.
All right.
Name one reason why you're going to vote in this election.
I think the reason it's very important to vote is because to have your voice heard and to make sure that we're able to have the resources to take care of ourselves and our community. So it's very important to have your voice heard.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so who am I here with today?
Demaya.
Hi, Demaya. Why do you feel it's important to vote?
Because it's kind of like you kind of speaking your thoughts, and it's important.
Yes.
Hello there. My name is Cesar Gomez, and I'm with the Southside Organizing Center. What's your name, sir?
Martin Rodriguez.
All right, and what is one reason people should go and vote in these upcoming elections?
If they care about their future.
Thank you very much.
All right, so who am I here with today?
I'm Jacob Domnitz.
Okay, nice to meet you. I have a question. Why do you feel that it's important to vote?
I think it's important to vote because you get a representative in office who represents your values and morals, and I think that's really important.
Thank you.
That was quite the interview, huh, Lex?
Yes.
I seemed very I've seen two very familiar faces. Well, let's not get too far off track. Next up, we have Devin Anderson with the African American Roundtable discussing the benefits of participatory budgeting. Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to have Devin Anderson, Campaign and Membership Director of the African American Roundtable, join us today. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Before we begin, congratulations on a successful Liberate MKE 5 years in the making victory for participatory budgeting. SOC looks forward to helping ensure that the spirit and law of those efforts is honored. As SOC is an appointed member of the Community Impact Committee of the Common Council, which is establishing a system to disperse the inaugural 600,000 set aside for the non-law enforcement public safety funds. Devin, can you please share a brief description of your role and your organizations, including information and resources available to our neighbors?
I'm Devin. I'm the Membership and Campaign Director at the African American Roundtable. We're an organization really based on the northwest side of Milwaukee with our mission really to organize, nurture, and transform Black leaders in service of our liberation. And so my role is really I coordinate our campaigns like Liberate MKE. Thank you so much for the shout out there, as well as our membership program. And so, one of the things I always say is we run campaigns to win things that will tangibly change and impact people's lives. And one of the things, like you talked about with participatory budgeting, we believe that this $600,000 that the city has set aside can positively impact our community's lives and allow residents to see how their voice and their vote matters. And so one of the things with participatory budgeting is it gives residents what we say real decision-making power over how money is spent. So they get to determine proposals that make the final ballot as well as vote on projects, like you said, that will improve community safety without police. And so that's really an exciting project. And so along the way, if you want to just stay involved, one thing you can do is go bit.ly/P V voter. So bit.ly/PB voter to stay engaged, to fill out a pledge to vote card. And the one thing I'll say about voting and participatory budgeting is that we hope it's more expansive than traditional electoral politics. What I mean by that is that young people like Isabella and Alexis might be able to vote in this project, in this process along the way. And so really, that's something that we're really excited about.
Thank you for sharing. Can you please share what is a PB and why residents should care and why individuals should get involved?
Yeah, like I said, participatory budgeting is a democratic process where residents have a vote over how a pot of money is spent. So we have $600,000 set aside, and residents will be able to vote on how they want to see that money spent. And why should they care is because traditionally, we have 15 older people and they're making decisions about how all the money and resources we have in the city are spent. And sometimes those decisions don't necessarily reflect what we care about. And so this is an opportunity for us to have a real vote over how part of the budget is spent, and that hopefully these resources go to things that residents care about and residents would love to see in their community.
Thank you. Awesome. So before we close out this interview, we have two campaigns going on to support people voting and get folks excited about the upcoming election. One is our Voting Buddy campaign, and the other one is Recipes for Democracy. Tell me, Devin, who is your voting buddy this election?
Yeah, every election, it's my family. So I don't know about y'all, but we have a family group chat, and we make sure that all of us post a picture of our I voted sticker after we vote. And, if it gets late in the evening and we have not seen that I voted sticker, you might come under a little bit of heat in the group chat.
That's awesome. Our final campaign, which is Recipes for Democracy, we are creating a cookbook for those people that are joining us here for the Vote-a-thon. Devin, what family recipe will you be contributing to the cookbook? And is there a special story or tradition behind it?
Yeah, for me, I learned to cook with my aunts. And so, a lot of them are no longer with us. So I always carry that when I'm cooking, especially, it's going to be holidays. And so I always think about them. And so one recipe that I always make for every holiday is like a cheesecake. And so I've been making it for now. I'm older, but I've been making it for over 15 years now. And so that's a recipe I always go back to year after year.
Oh, that sounds really good. Thank you for sharing. Well, thank you for sharing your insights with us today and for your ongoing support and collaboration in serving our community. We truly appreciate your time and leadership. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, again, just thank you all and shout out to SOC for having me back many times over the years now. It's really always a great honor to chat with y'all.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much, Devin, for all the good information you just told us about participatory budgeting and about your cheesecake recipe. Next is Anita Johnson with some information about Souls to the Polls.
Hi, Anita. Thank you for
Hello.
joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Could you please introduce yourself and give an overview of your organization, please?
Sure. My name is Anita Johnson. I am the outreach and voting specialist for Souls to the Polls. Souls to the Polls believe that voting is our collective power, a tool that we use to build stronger and safer and more supportive communities. We know a strong voting bloc is key to pressing state and local leaders on issues like affordable housing, education, economic, gun violence, and government transparency. Together, we can build a block of engaged communities, members to channel our faith and bring 100,000 souls to the polls. We also give rides to the polls. And I'll probably repeat this number again. That's 414-742-1060. My job is to get out into the community and let people know about the upcoming elections and what they need, if they need to be registered, if they need help getting an photo ID. I advise them on how to go to the DMV and get that photo ID. If they want to know where to go to vote, I direct them to www.myvote.wi.gov. So I am the informational person and the trainer for canvassing and a lot of other things that we don't need to go into right now.
Well, thank you for sharing. You mentioned that one of your programs is Rights to the Poll. Would that be available for the spring elections? And if so, what are things that people should know before they go?
Things that you should know before you vote. Always have your ID. If you don't have an ID, you can still go to the DMV and get a temporary ID. When you go to the DMV, tell them, I need an ID so I can vote. They will give you a temporary ID. So when you go to the polls to vote, you have to show this ID. So that's what you will show.
And where can people find this information?
You can go to our website, but again, I will give you the telephone number, 414-742-1060. Now, I've been getting calls all day. Or all morning, I should say, about rides to the polls. So my number will pop up. I do not mind people calling me. I can direct you to where you should go and what you should do in order to get to the polling site so you can vote. Look, this is a very important election. So anything that Souls to the Polls can do to get people to the polls to vote, we will do.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Well, thank you for participating in SOC's Vote-a-thon, and thank you for all your impactful and crucial work in our community.
Thank you. Thank you for your work as well. Okay, bye-bye.
Before we continue, I'd like to give a thank you to Miss Tammy for supporting us. I could see you in the comments. Thank you, Anita, for your time and for sharing with us such valuable information. Next up, we have Abby from the ACLU discussing voter rights.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to join y'all today Thank you, Southside Organizing, for putting together this amazing vote-a-thon for us all in the community. And thank you for inviting the ACLU to be a part of it. My name is Abby Holmuth. I'm the Youth Programs Manager. And today I'm going to give you some information about voter intimidation, hoping that none of us have to use it, but nonetheless, very important to be aware of it and have it in your pocket. If you're going to the polls today, feel free to take some screenshots as I go through. So let's get into it. Wisconsinites, happy Election Day. Real quick, if you're not familiar with the ACLU, our mission is to protect, defend, and expand civil rights and liberties for communities, all communities, particularly for communities historically denied their rights, through nonpartisan advocacy, community education, litigation, and organizing in order to create a more just future for us all. So, voter intimidation, what is it? Federal law says that no person shall intimidate, threaten, coerce any other person for the purpose of interfering with their right of that person to vote or to vote as they may choose. So what does that mean? Some examples: aggressively questioning voters about their citizenship, criminal record, or any other qualifications that you need to vote. Falsely presenting oneself as an elections official, spreading false information about voter requirements, such as an ability to speak English, displaying false or misleading signs about voter fraud and the related criminal penalties, and any other harassment, particularly toward non-English speakers and voters of color that you may experience or you may witness. So some what-if scenarios. At the polls, there may be something like an exit interview. Those have to be done 100 feet away from the polling entrance, the polling location. So if you see that, it is likely a professional journalist who is out there asking general questions about how your experience was that day. It's completely optional, and there should be no coercion or pressure to engage in that if you do not want to. Wearing candidate clothing or accessories, that is not allowed. So if you see it, feel free to report it and be sure to not engage in that yourself. If you are directly asked who you voted for by anybody, that is something you absolutely do not need to answer. And if it is in an intimidating fashion or an aggressive way, please feel free to report it. So who can you report it to? We have throughout this quick minute video, there's some lines of phone numbers, the election protection hotline. Please use that. There should be, poll workers, your county clerk, elections commissioner, people at the polling site that you can ask to speak to. So please make sure to advocate, again, for yourself and for others. Poll monitors are not usually allowed in the enclosed space, so that includes the voting machines or the immediate area. So if you feel like people are looking in or watching, please, again, advocate for yourself and advocate for others. People should not be campaigning anywhere allowed inside or near the polling place. It can be permitted outside the polling place at a certain distance. So some states it's 200 feet. Again, it can depend. If it feels like it's less than 100 feet away, please report it. Police are allowed inside the polling place. However, if you're feeling intimidated or harassed by a police officer, you can also report that. Voting with disabilities, please feel free to take a screenshot of this. There are many different protected rights that if you have a disability that you are protected by federal law. So please feel free to take a screenshot at this. If you're not registered to vote, please don't freak out. You can always ask poll workers to double check. If you're not registered, ask if there's another list of voters. Sometimes you may also be able to check a statewide system if one is available. If they still can't find you, ask for a provisional ballot. All voters are entitled to that. Feel free to screenshot this as well. It is some voter ID helpful information, what's accepted, what you can bring to the polling place with you today. And feel free to take a camera over this QR code. It is our voting rights guide. So it has all information that I couldn't fit into this short video today, but feel free to use it for this election, for future elections, and to share with friends and family. So one real quick thing, voting rights, it is intersectional, right? It goes with all issues. So these are some of the issues that the ACLU focuses on, and voting rights has everything to do with each of these issues. So make sure to vote your values, vote your rights, and use your voice to do so. Civic engagement is so important, and there's other ways to do it outside of voting. And that's volunteering, knowing your community, having conversations with family and friends and in community, signing petitions, attending town halls, protesting. So we always encourage those. If you can vote, if you can't vote, if you voted but want to do more, there's so much more that you can do. So, protecting democracy. If you or someone you know is a voter seeking assistance on election day, if you've witnessed something, if they have witnessed something, please get your phones out, get ready to screenshot. This is the phone number, the different languages. Use it absolutely at any time. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the ACLU, to reach out to me. You can scan any of these QR codes to get in touch with somebody. And here's if you want to follow us, friend us, all those good things. And that's all we got. Thanks everybody for listening. Thank you, Southside Organizing. Enjoy the day getting out the vote. Celebrate yourself, celebrate your voice, and empower one another. Thanks, everybody.
We appreciate you joining us, Abby, and talking with us about voter rights. Let's welcome back Ms. Tammy with a walkthrough of myvote.wi.gov, the official state website where you can find voter information.
Gracias again to all our partners and collaborators. Sometimes we're bombarded with information and it's easy to get lost in the changes that have occurred since the census. For instance, where do you vote? It's called your voting location. And what's on the ballot if you want to see what you're going to be voting for ahead of time, because sometimes that's a point of stress during the elections, and all kinds of other information. There's a website that is a centralized hub of voting information, and it's called myvote.wisconsin.gov. And we can put it on the screen for you all. Here's the website, and you can access it in English and in Spanish. myvote.wisconsin.gov. And then here it's just saying that I'm using the English version. And so right here, there's the quick look tab of, you can find your voting information. It shows your current information and the elections you voted in. It doesn't show you who you voted for, but that's a good source if you just want to check historically what you've done. Finding your polling place. Now, for some Southsiders, after the census, some of the polling locations change, so you can always double check. I'll show you how to do that in a second. And as I mentioned, you can check on what's your ballot, if you had name changes or addresses, if you need to register to vote. And then for the next election, if you want to vote absentee by mail, you can track where your ballot is, and you can vote absentee in person. So you can vote absentee in person or by mail. Here are sort of the live buttons of what I just talked about as well. So for instance, let's go to find my polling place, because that's usually the piece of information most critical for people. And I'm going to put in Sauk's address, and then we're going to see if I lived at Sauk, what polling place would I be going to? So you put in your address and it says, okay, your voting place would be, for instance, for Sauk's location, this school, and then shows you a map and all kinds of information and what ward it is. And then right away, it starts pulling up the ballot. Now there's another button you can press, as I shared earlier. But for instance, here is the Supreme Court race, and then there's several races for this election. And so this is a critical resource. It's really easy. You can access it on your laptop or on your phone if you get confused about where to go, what's on the ballot, or any of this other information.
Over here by us, the sun is going down and it's getting darker. Have you voted yet? Now, here's some information that our Sauk staff would like to share with you. Hey everyone, have you ever felt like you wanted to make a real difference in the world?
Of course, but sometimes it's hard to know where to start, right?
Well, that's where civic engagement comes in. It's all about getting involved in your community and making sure that your voice is heard.
Yeah, it's about shaping the decisions that affect our lives, creating positive change.
There are numerous ways you can get involved, like working for a cause you care about,
advocate for policies you believe in,
and develop connections with neighbors.
Similar to what we do at SOC.
Here at SOC, we dedicate our work to the development and sustainability of Milwaukee's near South Side neighbors and or neighborhoods.
We work with residents to create a safe and livable community.
Which is why we encourage all youth interested in taking action and becoming a voice for their community to join our team.
Hello from the SOC Civic team. Hola desde el equipo de cívico de SOC. Thank you for joining us. Election day is over at 8 today. If you encounter long lines, don't be discouraged. Know that if you're in line by 8 o'clock, you will be allowed to vote. Today we're voting on nonpartisan seats like the state Supreme Court, but we will have 2 more elections this year.
In August, we're choosing partisan candidates who will go head-to-head in November. There are many seats up for election, the biggest one being the governor's seat. There are 17 candidates currently running for governor, and in the August primary, we're going to whittle it down to just a handful, 1 per party plus independents.
The south side of Milwaukee has the densest population in the state. Our voices are powerful. We decide who represents us. So get out the vote today, but mark your calendars. Tuesday, August 11th is our primary, and Tuesday, November 3rd is the fall election.
Let us know you're making your voice heard by pledging to vote with SOC. We want to reach 1,250 pledges to vote this year from Southsiders. Simply scan this QR code or click the link in the comments.
You'll also be seeing our SOC staff and youth knocking on doors and visiting neighbors. Come say hi to our amazing youth.
Learn more about the candidates for any election at vote411.org, available in English and Spanish. Your vote is your voice. Su voto es su voz.
Hello neighbors, my name is Stacy. I'm an organizer here at SOC and I want to share some upcoming happenings and opportunities. First, we are going to have a couple of cleanups coming up. The first cleanup that we're going to be having will be in the Polonia neighborhood, and we're going to be starting at the Polonia Peace Park, which will be at 1020 West Montana Street, starting at 9 a.m. The second cleanup that we are going to be having will be in the historic Mitchell Street neighborhood, and we're going to meet on 11th and Maple, and that also will be starting at 9 a.m. The flyers will be posted to our Facebook page, so no worries. I know some of the dates will be on the flyers, so everything will be right there on Facebook. We will also be out in the neighborhoods canvassing with information for the targeted investment neighborhoods, and that will also be in the historic Mitchell Street neighborhood. I will add the info in the comments, which will have where the tin is located and if you are in the tin zone, and then how to apply and how to get contact with myself to help you apply if you're needing help. Also, as part of the Reclaiming Our Neighborhoods Coalition, we will be out surveying homes starting after April 9th. So if you see us out and about, come by and say hi. If you're interested in having a cleanup, being a block ambassador, which is a representative of your block, where you would share info and resources to your neighbors, and then also collect any issues or information that your neighbors need help with that we would help them with. If also you're needing to report any things to the city or MPD and you need help with that, please also feel free to reach out to me, and I will add the email and the number in the comments. So please reach out, and thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Mark the date. Join us on Sweetest Day, Saturday, October 17th, 2026, for an evening celebrating legacy awardees from the past, present, and future. Enjoy Dia de los Muertos awardee altars. Experience a Legacy Live Walk of Fame and connect with our inspiring Legacy ambassadors. Stay tuned. More info to come in the upcoming weeks.
Before we finish up today, we wanted to say thank you. And if you're a first-time voter like me, make sure you go out and vote.
Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to stay up to date with our events and programming. Please don't forget to complete today's Vote-a-thon survey, a raffle from people who filled out the survey to win a $25 gift card.
Don't forget to register for this Vote-a-thon to receive your digital cookbook.
Thank you all for watching today's SOC Youth Takeover. Remember, your vote is your voice.